Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be walking you through a couple ways you can do the Spider 20 on auto, because I know it's a very common topic and lots of people struggle with it. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways and you know, pretty attainable teams that you could use to tackle that project. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so yeah, definitely when I'm streaming or in comment sections and stuff, probably the most common question is about the Spider. So there's lots of different ways to do this. There's Armiger strats, Cold Heart, Royal Guard, AoE HP burn ticks. There is so many different ways to solve this puzzle. I'll probably try to dive into those other stuff at some point. This video is going to show you kind of an attainable turn meter reduction type strategy, speed reduction, speed boosting type strategy you can use. So there's insane strategies you can do towards the end game, but for a lot of you that's going to be kind of a down the road goal. Like I can show you here on the Spider, if I build like a ridiculous team here, if we go, let's see here, sort by rank, and let's go like look at this team here. We'll go Royal Guard, Royal Guard, Royal Guard, and then Dracomorph for debuffing and Kymar to reset. So this is kind of like an end game optimized strategy that you can run to like speed farm the Spider, just to kind of show you so it's in this video. But this is not what I will be featuring when I show you kind of the more attainable route to go. So we can see the general strat in terms of the end game speed run is you debuff the Spider, and then you reset everything with Kymar, and you nuke it with your Royal Guards. And boom, there it is. So you can do it in 20 seconds in the end game and farm it pretty easily. Now, in terms of starting to solve the puzzle here and put together an auto-friendly team, we're gonna need what we call a cross affinity tank. So Spider 20 is Spirit. We need something to soak up damage from the Spiderlings. They're gonna do a single target attack that is going to also place poison. So a cross affinity tank that the spiders will target. So the Spirit Affinity Spider is going to want to target Force champions. So we need a Force champion with high resist and a way to sustain itself, and somebody who brings some utility to the fight. Now I can use somebody like Razen. Razen is a fusible legendary that all of you out there can get if you're willing to put in the work. So I figured he'd be a good one to use for the video. Let me not include Vault here. And let me pull up my Apothecary. I'm going to use as kind of my booster for speed boosting. He's a rare, he's attainable, and he's also got clutch heals, but mainly there for the speed boost. And then we're going to put in Razen as our cross affinity tank. I'll show you the gear and stuff here in a little bit. But I tried to use pretty attainable gear, especially if you're to the point where you're doing stage 20. Yeah, you're going to need pretty decent gear, and it's going to be a tough project to solve, but I'm going to show you that it is solvable with attainable champions. Okay, so Razen, he's Force, so the Spirit Spiderlings will target him. Now, we can't use another Force champion, otherwise we're at risk of messing it up and having them target them instead. So now I've got them set up to target Razen. And Razen's pretty good because he has the turn meter reduction. He also places a decreased defense and weaken. Now, the problem is he can hit weak because he's Force attacking Spirit, and when you hit weak, you're not going to place debuffs. So it is a little bit tough to get Razen to have guaranteed value, but the value potential is there, and on auto, if you can set it up to where he lives, eventually you're going to get that value. So he's a good candidate for being the cross affinity tank because of the value that I just described. So now we need a source of like sustain to get us through either cleansing debuffs or healing or something, some way to sustain the fight and keep our Razen alive. A good source of this is going to be Miscreated Monster. Again, another non-void epic, should be attainable for at least at some point in the future. A lot of you out there will be able to get him hopefully at some point. I'm trying to use an attainable strategy here. So Miscreated Monster, what he does, he's going to place really good shields. And again, I have guides on most of these champions on my channel that you can pull them up specifically and kind of see my walkthrough on that champion, the gearing process, and their whole kit and stuff like that. So Miscreated Monster is going to help my whole team place ridiculous shields and help me survive. So now I'm going to want like a damage dealer. We need someone to hit the spider hard, and obviously Coldheart is a rare. Lots of you out there are going to be able to get her at some point. Coldheart is perfect for this scenario because she's going to hit extremely hard. She does damage based on enemy max HP. She also, her Heartseeker is has a 30% chance to crit extra and will reset turn meters. So if we get her like over 200 accuracy, she's going to bring insane value. She's going to hit really hard, and she's going to reset that turn meter. So she is a great one to fill in. Now here in the 5th slot, we've got a little bit of options we can go with. Now, I do love Sylar. She's pretty fun in this role. If you put her in the stun set, I do have a guide I just put out on her on my channel. She's a very suppressive champion. She can AoE stun those spiderlings, so they're not hitting our Razen as often, who is our cross affinity tank. She also is going to decrease the turn meter and decrease the speed basically permanently, because if we get her with good speed, she can keep that up permanently. So that's kind of the gist of building an auto-friendly run and kind of the thought process that goes into it. And this should all be at least, you know, realistically attainable. We're not using like double Bad Khazar with Prince Kaimar and a bunch of like crazy S tier, you know, non-attainable legendaries. This is, yes, they are good champions, but I'm showing you kind of how the puzzle is solved and how you can piece something together. So let's go ahead and hit start and play this on auto, and you'll kind of see how it works here. Okay, so you can see there, the Razen, that was huge. He placed the weaken and the decreased defense. He did not hit weak, so we got a little bit lucky there. He placed the debuff, and that is huge because it means our Coldheart is going to hit extremely hard. So then we see the Frank coming in with, look at all those mass shields. The white bar here is the shields. And the decreased speed, the decreased accuracy, our Sylar being suppressive. You can see all these stun icons on the spiderlings. That's our Sylar suppressing them. Our Razen, boom, decreased turn meter with bog down. And there you saw the weak hit on one of those hits there. But yeah, you can see these spiderlings are trying, but they're suppressed by the Sylar, and they're barely kind of chewing into that shield. So now it's kind of just, yeah, you're in a position where you're getting a lot more turns than the spider. And look at that Coldheart hit ridiculously hard because of the Razen debuffing, and she was able to smack that spider for like 2.3 million damage or something. A pretty insane hit there by the Coldheart. And yes, my champions are going to be pretty decent, but okay, if they weren't so good, they would do it in maybe 3 minutes instead of 2 minutes or something. So this is kind of like they're living very easily. It's not like it's close. You can see there, that's the big hitting ability from the spider, and it barely kind of chewed through the Miscreated Monster shields and the ally protection there. Boom, there are Razen coming through clutch, placing that weaken, and there it is. 1 minute and 55 seconds on auto with a, you know, a realistically attainable team here. Okay, so let's say, oh, I don't have a Sylar. She's a Void Epic, so I don't have her. Okay, let's maybe slot in a Royal Guard and go the double damage dealer route. Now that means we can't really sustain as long, but we're able to chew the spider down faster. So let's see how that works. And I'm not doing the AoE HP burn strat. I might do a video on that, maybe featuring like an ultimate Galek or something, and showing how that strategy kind of works, walking through it. But yeah, here's a kind of a, you know, if you don't have Sylar, this is a different way to do it. We'll slot in the 2 damage dealers with the Coldheart and the Royal Guard and kind of piece this together. And I expect that to go a little bit faster because we have the 2 damage dealers instead of the 1. You can see the massive shields there by Miscreated Monster. The Apothecary throwing up a bunch of turns, boosting our speed, boosting our turn meters. And that ability is what makes the spider tough. When she eats all the spiderlings, gets that mass heal, and then hits everybody pretty hard. I don't know if the spider should be 100% immune to heal reduction. I think she should be resistant. Like, instead of it being 50 and 100, it should be like 25 and 50. I think that would make it a more realistic dungeon to kind of work around the mechanics of the boss. And there you have it, a minute 18 on that team. So I could sit here all day and show you, you know, 15, 20 different teams that are able. I mean, Tyrell is a pretty decent champion. There's different cross affinity tanks you can use. There's all sorts of ways to piece together this puzzle. I wanted to do a video here kind of walking you through the mechanics and the thought process of putting together an auto strategy, because I know it's a super common question, and a lot of you out there are kind of wanting to see how it's done and how it's built in terms of somebody kind of preparing to do Spider 20 on auto. Now, just to show you the champions and the gear, my apothecary is geared super realistic. I mean, look at this stuff. Level 12, level 12, level 12. This apothecary is attainable for a lot of you out there, and this is the one I was using in the run. Miscreated Monster is right here. If you want to see, we're going for mass HP. I mean, I'm using common boots. I mean, none of this stuff is like ridiculous. You know, so if you're like towards the dungeon 20s, most of this should be realistically attainable for you if you focus on it. So that's the I'll show you the stats on my Miscreated Monster here. Lots of HP, good accuracy, and good crit rate. That's very important, because that crit rate is going to help us with these the shield is based on damage inflicted, so we need him to crit those spiderlings and inflict a bunch of damage. That's how you get that big white bar. So he is very, very good for strategies to help auto the spider. And then the other that I use is Sylar. I've got a dedicated video on her. We can see here I gave her stun set, some HP, and really good speed. You want to get her over 200. And the most important thing on her is to get this Leaden Legs A3 to a 4-turn cooldown. It defaults as 6. So that is her. And then this is her total stats here. Let me pull this up here. Sylar's stats, if you want to stop that there, and then masteries right here if you want to stop that there. You can pause and look at that. I'll do the same thing with apothecary. Total stats, boom, good HP, decent defense over 2k, and there you go. And then the masteries on the apothecary, pretty generally useful masteries for apothecary. Miscreated Monster, this was the artifacts, the total stats, and the masteries. That way you have all those screens here. If you want to pause and look at stuff, they'll all be there. And I do have guides on all these champions if you want to see that as well. And Rosin, this is the artifacts. This is the total stats. So we're going to be going for good speed, really good accuracy, and then we want to get our defense at least to 3k. And then the masteries here. This is kind of clan boss masteries. Again, I didn't even like tailor make the strategy for the spider. I kind of was piecing this together on video here, but that is the masteries on Rosin. And then if you want to see the Royal Guard I was using, this is the artifacts, the total stats. We're going for decent attack. That's not really the base of his value, since his takedown ability hits off of enemy max HP. We want crit rate for sure and good crit damage. Accuracy is fine and dandy on him. It's not paramount, but the more you can get, the better, with good speed and kind of build him in that sense. The masteries on my Royal Guard are right here. And I believe that covers them all, doesn't it? Let me go and make sure. Did I miss one? I showed the Apothecary, the Rosin, the Cold Heart, the Miscreated Monster, the Royal Guard, and the Sylar. I believe I showed the Cold Heart anyway. I may not have, now that I'm thinking about it, but this is the artifacts on the Cold Heart. And this is going to be the total stats. We're obviously going to want at least 70% crit rate, good crit damage, accuracy over 200 for sure on Spider 20. And that's kind of the priorities, and then as much attack, defense, and HP as you can get. and the masteries on the Cold Heart are right here. And for every single champion I use in this video, I have a dedicated video to that champion for a guide and walkthrough on their whole kit. So yeah, I wanted to throw this video together because I know a lot of you out there are constantly wondering about the spider. If I don't have Ignatius, if I don't have AoE HP burn, how can I solve this puzzle? What's a way that you do it? And obviously, you're probably not going to have every champion I have or every champion available in the game if you're a new player. Just understand that Spider 20 is a bottleneck. It is tough to accomplish. It was tough for me, but you will get through it if you're diligent and you're working towards it, and you know you're playing actively, you're summoning champions, you're farming what you need to farm, farming gear, improving your roster. You will get there, and I wanted to do this so you can kind of see the thought process on building the team. Most important things to understand: the cross affinity tank, having somebody who brings value to the fight. Work towards your rosin. Rosin is an amazing resource. You want somebody who buffs your speed, somebody who provides sustain like Miscreated Monster, somebody who, you know, stuns the enemy spiderlings or suppresses their speed, stuff like that. These are very important mechanics. Turn meter reduction on the spider, which is a Cold Heart. She is very good for spider runs and teams like this because of the huge hard-hitting ability and the turn meter reduction. That's kind of the most important things to take away from the video. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments, and I hope this helps a few of you out there. I'll try to do more videos on like the spider and the Fire Knight and things that you guys really have questions about. So yeah, as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.